how does this team want to construct the culture of, what is this new regime going to say? Like, these are our fundamental values.
The Las Vegas Raiders select Brock Bowers.
Tyree Wilson, Max Crosby.
The Raiders at 6, a lot of buzz that Ashton Jeanty is high on their list.
So I don't know what they're going to do if Shador's there.
If you like a guy, you like a guy. You better take him and go get it.
My gosh, I'm just so excited. NFL Draft Week is here.
Welcome to Raiders Roundtable, our special edition for the 2025 NFL Draft, along with the man who's about to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Eric Allen. I'm JT, and we are live from the Palms. Chaos, the pool on what should be an outstanding night. My friend, good to see you as always, and congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
Appreciate it always, JT. This is an exciting day, man, for all these young players who are about to enter the National Football League. Their dreams come true, and hopefully we get a outstanding player who's able to put his fingerprints on our football team for next year.
Well, I'm all mocked up. I spent months on this draft, and I've looked at every mock draft, and I am so excited because the Raiders are in a position tonight to do something super special. We don't know what they're going to do. We just found out that Pete Carroll is tweeting clues. If you go to Pete Carroll there on his social media there on X. But I'll tell you, we look at the picks. It's about tonight, which is 6, but the Raiders could trade back. They could trade into the first round, late in the first round again. We don't know what's going to happen, but after last year, you don't want to see a season like that again. We have a brand new regime. And EA, as I've told you, I think by the end of tonight and the first pick in the second round, we're going to exactly know where John Spytek and Pete Carroll want to go with this team. Very important that we kind of understand what direction we're going. Are we going to go in a direction of those Seahawks football teams that built a defense that was one of the best units in all of football? Or are we going to kind of go to that Tampa Bay? We're building that front line, either offense or defensive line. You have a strength in the defensive line, maybe make it even stronger. So it's going to be very exciting, and it's going to be detailed, like you're talking about. We're going to find out exactly what this Raider football team is going to be all about coming up in the 2025 season. Look, when you look at these players that were mocked, and we got a list of them here, the elephant in this room at the Chaos Pool is Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty is the player that a lot of NFL insiders believe the Raiders would take if he's available, along with Shador. But Shador's been over months, this conversation, and then Ted McMillan out of Arizona if the Raiders want to go with a star #1 wide receiver. But let's spend some time on Ashton Jeanty. Because in a matter of the last few days, and I don't know if it's fact or fiction, here come the teams that want to trade above the Raiders and get them. So the way I look at it is simply this. Jacksonville is at 5. If they want Jeanty, they can take him and not move to get him. If the Bears want him, they're going to have to trade from 10 to Jacksonville at 5, or maybe the Patriots at 4. Because whatever draft you look at, EA, it's clearly going to be Cam Ward, it looks like. Number 2 is going to be the great wide receiver, Travis Hunter, and cornerback. And then number 3, I think Abdul Carter, who is an absolute beast. So the draft could be starting at number 4, and the Raiders pick at 6. So that could be interesting. And then you and I talked about moments ago, what happens if the Raiders want to move back lightly to 9 if New Orleans wants to go from 9 to 6 to get Shador? Yeah, and you have opportunities to get a running back if it's not Jeanty. Obviously, you can get a cornerback who, I'm going to all be in love with that pick. Offensive line-wise, kind of continue to strengthen that offensive line. Very interesting if the Raiders move back. I think that could be something that could really help this football team out, having 2 picks in the first round. A guy I've been introducing for years as one of the best Raider insiders is our new teammate here. Paul Gutierrez joins us from team headquarters. Paul, welcome in. Congratulations on your new role and a big night tonight as the Raiders are picking very high in this draft at number 6.
Yeah, it's huge, guys. Thanks again for having me. And this is a different role, and it's a well accepted and looking forward to doing this for the team, covering the team for the team. And there's nothing like draft night, and to be able to kind of be here in the facility and kind of see how the sausage is made, so to speak, is really exciting. And to be able to take the fans behind the scenes a little bit as well to see what exactly the Raiders are going to do here as we go forward throughout the night and throughout the whole weekend, really.
All right, Paul, so what are you hearing? What are you hearing as of the last couple of hours? Because, as you know, you've covered so many drafts, and night one, which is genius, Thursday night standalone, this is a television show. And for TV, the commissioner wants the hype, wants the rumors. Insiders like yourself got your ears to the ground. What can you report on what possibly might happen around the league?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the first real draft I covered when I was at the Sacramento Bee back in 2006, Michael Huff was the pick. That's how long I've been covering this team and this draft. But let me pull up my phone here, look at my notes here, the text that I got, to make sure I get this straight for the fans out there. I know this, that the Raiders are definitely entertaining multiple scenarios as far as teams drafting ahead of them. They could potentially trade out of there and other things. So they're ready to go in case of multiple things happen in front of them. Obviously, any team would be ready to do that anyway. They're open to offers coming in to trade back. And I know you just mentioned what if the Saints wanted to move up to get Shedeur at 6, to move the Raiders back to number 9. What does that look like? They're open to those conversations as well. They're not going to devalue any players based on the position. And Spytek, the GM, he talked about that last week when he said, in terms of the running back position, for example, the gap in talent between the number 1 and the number 2, number 3 wasn't that big. So they're not going to devalue players based on positions. And lastly, what I thought was most interesting was to keep an eye on the top 4 offensive tackles throughout this draft process, because you could have as many as 4 offensive tackles go in the top 10 picks this year, and that would be something that the Raiders would be really, really interested in, especially if a certain player that they have their eyes on is not available there for them at number 6, or if they trade back.
Yeah. Paul, there's not a lot of splash with the receivers this year, but I just like to call them like just ballers, guys who can make plays and make it happen. I'm not sure if it was the COVID year and these guys really didn't get an opportunity to shine and let everyone know as far as spectacular plays. But what do you think about this receiver class?
Yeah, I like that the Hall of Fame cornerback JT was taking shots at the receiver class in this draft. But no, it's true. There's not a lot of names. Yeah, I'm not taking shots. It's true though. I mean, outside of the Arizona McMillan, there's not a lot of guys. A guy in Texas that are seen as being franchise turners. So when you look at what the Raiders already have on the roster and Jacoby Myers and obviously they got the great pass catchers at tight end, you're not sure if that's really a need early on. Yeah, of course, they've got the speedster and Trey Tucker, but when you look at this draft class, it seems like it is missing something in the receiver room, because those are the guys that are all about the flash, all about the dash, and yeah, I hate to say it, all about the cash sometimes too.
Let's stay with Ted McMillan. The ASU guy doesn't watch a lot of Arizona football unless he's getting paid to do it, and he is getting paid to do it now. He's just spectacular, and I'm not going to say Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss. Those are Hall of Famers, but the height and the catch radius is really impressive. So, Paul, I think if the Raiders brought him in and he was in the red zone with Brock Bowers lined up at tight end and Jacoby running in motion and what the Raiders have there, he could be a guy that you could isolate one-on-one. And again, I don't see a lot of number 1 overall wide receivers. I see a lot of 2s and 3s, and those guys will be available in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round.
And McMillan could probably be available if you were to trade back to 9 or 10 as well. So yeah, that's what's intriguing about this night, is that you already teased it. We're going to keep an eye on Pete Carroll's Twitter feed as well to see exactly what kind of hints he's going to give. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously a position that the Raiders need to hit on in this draft as well. They do have Jacoby Myers. They do have Trey Tucker. But it would be nice to add a legit number 1 guy there as well. That's not a shot at Jacoby by any stretch. But the more weapons you have, the more playthings you can give to Chip Kelly in the lab. That's something that Raider fans could really, really be excited about going forward.
Yeah, I like T-Mac because he's coming into the league. He's going to have that personality that I was a number 1 guy. I was the targeted guy no matter who was on the opposite side of me. And I think that bodes well for our football team when you put him in a situation where you have an outstanding tight end, you have an amazing number 2 receiver already. He could really come and develop and be a number 1 just by the red zone packages alone.
He's 21 years old, Paul, and he's 6'4". And that doesn't come around often when you can get a young player and then park him with your organization. But, Paul, doesn't it come to the fact, and a lot of fans that you interact with on social media, the Raiders feel like they're pretty good on defense. With Max Crosby, Kuntz is coming back, Christian Wilkins, what the Raiders have in the interior, and the offense needs a little bit of a burst. This team was dead last in rushing last year. So when we mention tackles and Genty, we'll know from Pete Carroll and John Spytek. And I wanted to ask you the role of Chip Kelly tonight in the war room, because he coached 2 of those great running backs from Ohio State.
Yeah, and you know for sure that he's going to have a say, and he'll be able to pound the table for certain guys. I'm just not so sure that he's going to be able to pull it off early in the draft. I mean, this is the first time that we're going to have the wisdom of Pete Carroll combining with the long-awaited dues paying of John Spytek as a GM in that chair for the first time as well. So it's going to be a collaborative effort. We've heard everybody involved talk about that, and there's going to be some opinions that are going to weigh a little bit more than others. But yeah, if you want that offensive guy, you're going to lean on Chip Kelly, and you're going to see exactly what he wants, what he needs, and what that vision is. Same thing defensively. I mean, we don't know what the track record is here with these 2 guys, the GM and the coach, working together yet. After tonight, we'll know exactly what that is. But do they want to make a strength even stronger? And that would be on defensive tackle, and that's where Graham could potentially slide to them as well. I mocked him to the Raiders in a mock draft a couple days ago in the Bay Area on a radio station up there, simply because the Jaguars stole my guy Ashton Jeanty at number 5. But that's just looking, trying to read the tea leaves, looking at Pete Carroll's Twitter feed, and doing some well-educated guessing, but more importantly than that, some reporting and talking to people inside the building.
Thanks, Paul. We'll be watching your social media, and we'll be going to you a lot over the next couple of days. Thanks for doing this.
Look forward to it, guys. Paul. Have fun out there at the Palms, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We got some history at this place. I was talking about EA. We were running through here in the 2000s, and we want to thank the Palms and everyone here. There's a staff working behind us. Our entire staff here at Silver and Black Productions are amazing, the best of the best. So we got a long night in front of us, but the hype is really here because the new regime, Tom Brady, his involvement going forward. Mark Davis is always excited when everyone's undefeated. He always tells us this time of year.
Right.
But the Raiders, as I've been talking about, and we welcome in our audience on Raider Nation Radio, the flagship of the Silver and Black, the Raiders have to nail this draft. Period. They have to nail this draft. They have to have an elite draft. They got great picks, CA. We just don't know what direction they're going to go in. But I'm looking forward to an A grade, an A- grade when we look back here and come back on Monday to see what this team does.
Yeah, to build off last year. I mean, you talk about you getting the tight end last year. Brock Bowers, just a tremendous football player for our football team. I thought JPJ did an amazing job once he got a opportunity to get involved in the game. But it starts at the top. And I think Mark has a lot to do with what's going on here. Deserves a lot of credit by continuing to chop at the tree, right? Not settling, for, just mediocrity. I think you go out, you get a guy like Pete Carroll who's been proven to change the direction of organization. You get Spytek, who's had great vision and been with winning programs. And, of course, the addition of Mr. Brady has just been terrific. So we're at a point now where you have to continue to build a football team.
We would not have a show or a great draft show without the great Lincoln Kennedy. I'll tell you that much. Because Link always brings it in. Lincoln, good to talk to you as always on a big night for the Silver and Black. And we're hearing about a lot of offensive linemen that you've been keeping an eye on, Link.
There's no doubt about it. First of all, it's good to be with you, JT and EA. I'm happy to see you both. And this is a big deal. Look, we have been talking collectively in pre-games, post-games throughout the last couple seasons about the ineffectiveness overall of the offensive line of the Raiders, and it's been something that has hampered them for some time. So they can address it tonight, well, not necessarily tonight, but through this draft, they definitely need to address it because it's something that you cannot ignore if you want to keep Gino Smith upright.
Yeah, Link, great to see you, man, always. And as an offensive lineman, and you're in a football team and your offensive line has not been as consistent as you would want it to be, and the opportunity to maybe get a running back who can change those, change the future of your football team. If you're on the football team, would you want to see a running back who can make that happen or another offensive lineman who can aid you in being more solid?
Great question.
Well, it is a good question, EA. I will tell you this. If I'm in that locker room, I want to find the players that are going to help us win. If you're the Raiders, you're at the bottom looking up with 3 other teams. Denver's gotten better. You see where the Chargers are. We know what the Chiefs have had over the past 8 years. You want to be able to compete with them and the rest of the AFC, which is very competitive. So I'm always looking for a winner. And it's also, you want to draft according to position and need. I know offensive line is important. This draft, the offensive line-wise, is not as deep, especially at the tackle position, as I've seen in years past. But I do know this. It's something that they have to get on. They have to figure out a way to make it right because they cannot be ineffective if they want to try to win football games.
Lincoln, when I last talked to you, we had a discussion about ball control. And I'm fascinated by that because sometimes in a game you have the ball for 26 minutes. The other team has the ball for 32, 33, 34 minutes. The Raiders were dead last in rushing and couldn't control the clock going 3 and out, even with a great season by Brock Bowers. I think a move to get an elite running back, the Raiders can control the football and they can have more first downs and Gino can work. And we're going to have Gino on here real shortly. I think Gino working off play action to Bowers and to Jacoby. It'll change everything if they can control the line of scrimmage and get that running game going again.
Well, JT, if you can't have an effective offensive line, you can't control the line of scrimmage. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about the engine, that car that you're trying to make go, that offense, it won't be effective if that engine isn't effective. And that's the problem. The Raiders had inabilities to open up holes last year, effectively, consistently running the football. We've seen flashes of it at a time. So much to your point, if you address the running back position at the with the first pick overall, I'm not saying that I'm not totally fine with it, or I wouldn't get behind it. I would have some issues with it, especially depending on which one you want to go with. But I do know that they have to address this offensive line in this draft.
Yeah, that's Lincoln right there.
Lincoln.
Telling the truth. But if we're talking about Genty, he could be a difference maker. If you watch his film, you love the power runs, Link, in between the tackles, his decision-making, his eye manipulation. You know, he gives the eyes like he's going inside, bounces outside. When you have a back like that, he could make the offensive line a little bit better sometimes, just like our guy did a couple years ago in Josh Jacobs. And that's the comparison for me with Genty and Josh, not so much Barkley. I think Barkley's just kind of like a standalone kind of guy. But couldn't a running back, Link, make the offensive line a little bit better?
Okay, I've been dealing with this question for the last couple of weeks, guys, and I'm going to bring it to you right now. My only issue,
all right,
not my only issue, one of my major issues with Genty, 5'8" in the National Football League. Running back, 5'8". I can't put it any clearer than that. And look, I think he's a tremendous back, but also take in consideration level of competition. I'm not trying to throw any shade at Boise State. He played there. He did a marvelous job. I think he's a phenomenal back. To take him at 6, I know what it's like to be a top 10 pick. It is a lot of pressure for him to go out and perform. Not saying that he's not going to be good. Not saying that he might not be the next Saquon Barkley or the next true. Yes, to answer your question, he can answer that if he's effective. But if that offensive line isn't opening up holes, is he going to be able to shake those Chris Jones, those big defensive tackles that are in the National Football League that are wearing down between the tackles? That's my question mark.
Yeah, Lincoln, you bring up a great point because it's a great segue to the fact that I interviewed 28 to 29 mock draft guys over the last month on Raider Nation Radio, and I asked them all about Genty because I think it's a national topic on top of the fact that he could end up with the Raiders. And a lot of them told me, you don't need Genty. You can go get one of the other backs. Wow. There could be 25 to 30 backs drafted in 7 rounds. And that doesn't get to the unsigned free agents.
Wow.
And you know how busy that gets when you get unsigned free agents. So, Lincoln, if they go tackle at 6 or move back and go tackle, they're guaranteed to get a great running back in the 2nd round or to trade back into the 1st round and get a running back. There's plenty of them here. It just feels like Hampton, Genty, there's 2 or 3 of them that could be game breakers.
Guys, last year we had the privilege, well, I mean, depending on how you describe it, we watched running back by committee in the running back room with the Raiders. Sincere McCormick came on strong. We saw flashes out of good backs. I think it's possible. I think there's been sort of a slight over the NFL's perspective in general on running backs in the past, but Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl sort of reemerged the running back position, turned it around. So to answer your point, JT, I do think it's possible to find another. I'm just so more concerned about this offensive line, protecting the quarterback, being able to keep a clean pocket, opening up some holes, and I just don't think they've had that time to gel together, and there's going to be a turnover probably again this year with personnel. They've got to find a way to create some harmony, some sort of consistency on that group up front. If you're going to have anybody back there, quarterback, running back, whoever is going to be back there, you got to have somebody consistent on the offensive line.
Yeah, we've been in the front row the last past seasons when the offensive line has just been kind of a row of who's who the first couple weeks of the season that's really made it difficult. Let's stay with the offensive line, Mimbu. I mean, what do you think about him and how could he affect our football team?
a really strong candidate. He's come on. He's athletic, former wrestler, and he's played well. Hasn't given up a whole lot of pressures. What I'm concerned about with him the most is just sometimes he plays a little top heavy. He gets a little top heavy when he's trying to slow down those bull rushers, and that can be something that hampers him. But I think he's a natural right tackle. I think he's a position that's fit for that, a guy who's fit for that position, and I think he could be good. It's just going to have to take some work on him with the offensive line when he comes into camp, if that's who they pick.
Yeah, Lincoln, there's Kelvin Banks Jr., the Outland Trophy winner, unanimous All-American, 42 starts, the way he played at Texas, 0.8% pressure rate. And then Will Campbell, who these guys could be gone to the Patriots at 4.
Yeah.
They got Drake May.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I think if you look at Abdul Carter, and if Abdul Carter, I think he's a pivotal player here because the Giants at 3 can take Abdul Carter. He's off the board. If he's not, Vrabel ain't letting him go.
Right.
He's going to the Patriots, and then all of a sudden we're sitting here going, who's going to be here? So there are 3 offensive linemen, Menbu, Campbell, and Kelvin Banks Jr. that I think will be available, 2 out of 3 of them for the Raiders. And if the Raiders just want to sit there and take one, hey, we'll pack up the party at the end and get a great offensive tackle and go to day 2.
Yep.
And as Lincoln says, that could be the fundamental building block to get this organization, Lincoln, back on track with the running game.
Guys, my analysis of this offensive line group, and most notably the high-profile tackles, Campbell's a guard on the next level. And Kelvin Banks is going to be the next Trent Williams. Mark my words. He's going to play that long, and he's going to be that type of star. He is a phenomenal athlete. Trent Williams, I see, remember out of Oklahoma, this young man he has it all. He has the tenacity. He has the upper body strength as well as the foot speed. He can pull between tackles, which is something that's really hard for tackles to do because you really have to control your footwork when you're pulling between tackles. You're not going for extended out on the perimeter. You have to control your footwork and be able to turn up those holes. Great athlete. That is a future Trent Williams to me.
Wow. So that's your guy. If you had the choice to choose today in a couple hours, that would be your guy.
That would be my guy, without a doubt.
Yeah, and as we're looking on all our platforms at Kelvin Banks, the Outland Trophy winner, I just think that it's a strong offensive line draft early. It's a massive running back draft. It is not a great quarterback draft,
right?
But there'll be some quarterbacks who hit. It's not a deep wide receiver class. So when you look at it, and we're going to spend time later with the corners, if you want to start corner, you better get them early because there's a bit of a drop-off here. But, Lincoln, before we wrap it up, I just want to have some fun. Last year, you and I went out on stage, and we were sitting with Rich Gannon a year ago, and Gannon looked at me and he said, they're going Bowers. At like 10, I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, no one in this whole place knows that Bowers hasn't been selected yet. And Gannon was laser focused. And then I got with Lincoln. I go, Lincoln, we're going on the stage. Gannon's telling me it could be Bowers. Me and Big Link go on stage. The whole place was in shock. And what happened then, Link? We told everybody about Brock Bowers, and you called the games. How great was it to call Brock Bowers last year and what he was able to do?
Well, you know, after covering the game as long as you guys have and you've seen as much football as we have collectively, it was so refreshing to see a tight end separate themselves in a Raider uniform. We hadn't seen that in quite some time. I mean, you talk about the Tony Gonzalez, you talk about the Kelsey, you talk about all the ones Antonio Gates go through the league in history and since it's been around. But you talk about a tight end who really took over a game, had wide receiver moves, could play wide receiver, made it almost impossible to cover with a safety or a linebacker, so you had to double team. That opened up other opportunities for other people, and that was just a tremendous namesake. Now, here's the thing. I would say this, because we don't know how spot check's going to do. Do you draft off a need? Do you draft off a best player? Because I think we've seen general managers do that before. We've seen drafts with the Raiders do that before. Best player available. So how does this go? How does this fall? The Raiders have got a pivotal pick at number 6. There's lots of dominoes that have to fall in front of them before they can get their true guy, in my opinion. But at the same point, you talk about a game changer. Right now, the Raiders need playmakers.
Yeah, I agree, Link. I think you hit it right on the head. This is going to be pivotal, and JT and I have been talking about this early. These first 2 picks, really direction of what this football team is going to be next year.
No doubt about it. And look, as you said, it's not deep in the quarterback, but it's coming.
Yeah.
All right, Lincoln, I know what you're doing tonight. You're all over this feed. You're going to be waiting for that offensive lineman. Because, look, that's why we put him in the A block.
Yes.
He's right out of the gate. He got
That's
the
right.
energy, the excitement. And did you think he was going to say anything other than O-line?
No. Maybe sometimes just give a corner sometimes, Link, just to balance it out.
Look, I got plenty of love for you, bro. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I got plenty of love for DBs. But, here's the thing. We got to address that engine up front. We got to make this car go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's right.
We've been working with Lincoln so many years. We're so blessed to be with him, and he's been really clear on what this team needs to do, and great to have you, Link. We'll talk to you over the next couple of days and recap it, and have a great night tonight with the draft.
Take care, bud.
Sounds like a plan, guys. Be good.
The great Lincoln Kennedy.
That's my homeboy. That's my homeboy.
He's fantastic. And Solomon Wilcots is going to join us next. What a career he's had as a broadcaster and a player. So we're going to let you and him go off on the DBs and the safeties and your specialties. When we come back here, we are live from the Palms Pool. It's chaos. They got an unbelievable theater, but the weather's so great. Would you rather be in Green Bay, 59 degrees, a little misty,
right here,
or here in Las Vegas, right here? Raider Nation Radio and all of our media platforms, thanks for joining us. It's going to be an exciting evening.
It's game day, the day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game. We are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
He sees those double teams all the time. One of the great runners in the history of the league. Mostert takes off and goes the distance for the touchdown. So the Patriots defense sees Mostert pull off the biggest run of the night and go 43 yards.
Outside zone, and then both touchdowns come on inside zone plays. Watch the double team inside. Robert Hunt came off and got the linebacker, and Mostert goes untouched into the end zone.
Raider Nation, on this episode of Microsoft Breakdown, Raheem Mostert, the explosive running back for Las Vegas Raiders. Raheem is a definite, bona fide, big-time playmaker. This guy can straight up go. Here we get a little bit of motion. It's a split zone. Watch him hit that hole. Split the safeties and onto the house. That's the kind of explosiveness we need from our guy Raheem. I love the fact he's able to split the safeties and run away from those guys. We haven't seen that type of explosiveness in a long time. All right, here we have Raheem in the backfield. But hey, third down, you got to be able to be in the passing game. Maybe as a protector, but me, I want a guy who can spread out and catch the ball. Outstanding job here. I lined up as a receiver on the outside, gets past the first defender, slows down that little window to give the quarterback a great target, goes up with his hands and gets it. If we run this back, two things I like here. He slows down to give the quarterback an opportunity right here, and then all hands. And look, the safety's trying to hit him. He falls out of bounds. That's an outstanding play of being versatile in our offense. He can line up in 11 position, 11 personnel, split him out. He can be a part of the running game and the passing game. That's it this time on Microsoft Breakdown.
And with the 44th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft,
getting right to it.
The Las Vegas Raiders select guard Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon.
Interesting they announced him as a guard. Yeah. Played center, but at his size and his frame, you can absolutely play guards 220 pounds.
Raiders called me. I was super surprised. I had no idea that they were going to draft me. They barely talked to me, pre-draft, and just a bunch of joy just rushed to me, and I got drafted.
He was only the 5th Oregon player to be a unanimous All-American. Like this guy can play.
You got a big interior blocker here in Powers Johnson.
It was just so surreal. I went out of my body, and picked up the phone and was just shaking and trying to hold back crying. So
thank you for supporting us, believing in us, and staying loyal to the Silver and Black. It's all hands on deck this season. We're putting in that work on the practice field, but we need you to stand up and show out. See you week 1. Raiders.
It's the pre-draft roundtable along with Eric Allen. I'm JT. We're at the Palms outside at the Chaos Pool. Got a big night lined up. Thanks for joining us on all Raider platforms. We appreciate it. In a few moments, Solomon Wilcots will join us from SiriusXM. He had a great career as a broadcaster and a player, and we'll talk to him. EA, to reset for the audience that's jumping in here, the Raiders are picking number 6 if they stay there. If they stay there. I think they're going to stay there if Genty's there. I think they'll stay there if Mason Graham's still there. You never know, and they'll have the luxury. I think a lot of teams will want to trade up, but I don't think they're going to let the Broncos trade up for them or some of these other teams. Right. So John Spytek has got a big decision to make because the phone's going to be ringing at some portion tonight.
JT, right now, those guys are hearing rumors. The phone's ringing. People are trying to come up and call out, and so there's just a bunch of just hectic noise going on right now, but you have to have one side of your brain thinking about what's best for our football team and the player that we really want. Is he going to be there? And if he's not there, what's that next player that's going to be the opportunity for this football team to get better? Very important this first day here.
See, I think the first 2 are a lock, but we've seen blockbusters. I could be wrong, but it looks to be that we're going to see Cam Ward at 1 and Travis Hunter at 2.
Right.
So forget about that. If those guys are gone, I've been saying for a month, the draft starts at 3 with the Giants. The Giants got a big decision to make because they let go of Saquon Barkley, and the owner was not happy about it, and it was public. It was on Hard Knocks. Saquon Barkley went on to have maybe the greatest season for a player that another team let go and got nothing in return.
Right.
So imagine if the Giants pass on Shedeur. I'm going to spend a moment on Shedeur.
Okay.
They pass on him in a division that has Jaden Daniels. You're looking at Philadelphia now and how they're set. Super Bowl champions with Hurts. Dak is still the highest paid quarterback at 60.
Right.
If they pass on Shedeur, and Shedeur is a star in this league, the Giants will never live it down.
Right. And they don't get production from the quarterbacks on the roster right now. This is very important. You trade, free agency-wise, you go into your quarterback. If they don't get Shedeur and he turns out to be a productive quarterback, man, they are light years behind the NFC East.
2 weeks ago, a little less than that, the Giants went back to Boulder with 9 people on the private jet to look at him again. They were at the pro day. I thought he had a good pro day. I watched every throw. Then they went back to look at him again. 2 trips out to Boulder to see him because I think the pressure in the #1 media market of New York is so enormous that if they pass on him, and I'm going to give you something really quick on this. I believe, other than the Raiders, because we have Pete Carroll, I think whoever gets Shedeur, Deion's going to be the head coach in a matter of a quick 2 years. Deion is not going to sit in a meeting room in Boulder when his young son is sitting in a meeting room in a pro facility. And Deion's going to make, I guarantee you.
You think Prime is going to leave that
100%
great opportunity that he has in Colorado and goes to the Big Apple where the lights are the brightest and, there's just no hiding?
How many times did you get on a plane to see your sons play? Okay, he is going to want to be with his son, and I think he could be a great NFL coach. He's been a good coach already. So Shedeur is what's been fascinating about the last month, everybody, because we don't know what's going to happen. And then there was news last week about this Derek Carr injury. Where did the Carr injury come from? And that was big because Derek Carr has moved on from the Raiders, and he had a really good career with the Silver and Black, and we wish him well. But the Saints at 9 don't have a quarterback if Carr can't play. How can the Saints in that dome pass on Shedeur?
You can't pass on him. You can't pass on him. You talk about the accuracy, the ability to be able to move in the pocket, only playing with one, big-time receiver, and he was always able to get him the ball in those critical times. And his ceiling may not be as high as people may think, but I think Shedeur is a very capable football player, and he's going to continue to get better. I think he's pro-ready right now, day one, even if he has to sit behind a quarterback for a few games, I think he's the kind of guy who's going to be able to cerebrally process fast, and that's what you want in a quarterback. You want someone who's going to process the information, get the ball out quickly, understand and know the route combinations. I really think he's going to be a really good pro.
Well, Tom Brady has a connection to him. He worked out with him, and by all accounts, he seems to be a great kid. I mean, Shador's been a great kid, no problems off the field. Gino's been seen with Shador. So there are some connections there also. But, you know, we're going to have Gino on here in about an hour, and I'm just so happy that he's going to be the quarterback of the Silver and Black. But there are a lot of connections to Shador. And let me bring up another team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let go of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And what is going on with Aaron Rodgers? They're offering him the job, and he's saying no. He wants to wait till after the draft. And what happens if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers? They draft him at 21, and Aaron Rodgers gets to mentor Shador for a year.
Well, that could be good.
Yeah.
The on-field stuff for Aaron Rodgers later in the season was what I expected the whole season. You know, the ability to be able to put the ball in those tight windows, find his receivers, have a little bit of escapability outside the pocket, although he's not going to run and you know, get you many yards that way. But he extended the play enough to be able to have the wrist shot, does an outstanding job of really getting to the point where at the end of the ball games, in the red zone, Aaron Rodgers is going to get you 7 points. And I think that's the one thing that carries over for his career. I just didn't think he, off the football field, in the meeting rooms, did enough to be able to say, hey, I'm the kind of quarterback who's going to be able to play now and then help you develop a young player later. That's the question mark for Aaron Rodgers.
Rhett Lewis and Bucky Brooks had a great interview with John Spytek. So was our own Eddie Pascal. Sat down with him. We talked to him right after the press conference. I like his history here. And this is his night. This is this man's evening. Congratulations to John Spytek, who's waited his whole adult life as an NFL executive scout all the way up to now have this opportunity tonight to call in the pick here. And pretty impressive. Look at those players.
Good players right there. Vita Vea, out of Washington, did an amazing job. Devin White, linebacker and safety. So what I'm trying to look at is you look at 18 to 23, even going to 24, a lot of offensive line, interior players, box players with the safeties and linebackers. That should give us a little bit about what he feels comfortable and confident with building a football team. We're talking about that front seven, offensive linemen, linebackers, safeties, guys rolling into the box. So that should give us a little bit of idea of what to expect tonight. Genty, obviously, he's a box player. I think he does an amazing job when you look at the film. That inside zone runs, those kind of things, makes guys miss, lowers the shoulder at times. I love the eye manipulation. But, of course, you need an offensive line to be able to make all those things happen. Who's in our division? We need to keep the ball away from the Kansas City Chiefs. We need to be as physical and tough as the Chargers. The Denver Broncos right now trying to do the same things, be able to hold the ball for time of possession and those things. So you have to figure out a way to beat the teams in your division to be able to get to the playoffs.
One of the names that was on that list, if you were watching, if you're listening on Raider Nation Radio, was Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
What a year he had.
Yes.
So we're talking running back.
Right.
John Spytek involved in that Bucky Irving signing and draft, and he had a big year. So I believe that John Spytek is ready for this opportunity. We don't know him well. He's new to the organization. He's been fantastic so far. They're dotting every I, crossing every T to try to nail this draft. But as Eric and I said as we opened up the show, you're going to learn about Pete Carroll and the relationship with John Spytek. And Pete says the other day, well, Johnny and I are good. Like, there's no – everybody – the media has to ask the question, well, who's going to have final say? Pete Carroll jumps in and says, we're good.
Yeah.
There's going to be no controversy.
That's leadership, too.
Pete Carroll's at a stage in his life with his class at USC, what he's accomplished. And I believe this is a big legacy for him. I think Pete Carroll's already a Pro Football Hall of Famer.
I do, too.
But you take the Raiders to the Super Bowl, deep into the playoffs. This is a legacy play at the end of Pete's career. And Pete might coach another 10, 12 years because his energy is second to none. But we're going to learn about this relationship tonight. And then we got a big day tomorrow because the second and third round, there's a lot more players that we have to discuss. Tonight, those guys know that there's only, with the two guys gone early, they're going to be choosing between 6 or 7 or 8 guys that they have on this short list.
Right. The draft, like you're talking about, may not start until, something happens at 4 or 5. That's when the draft really starts. If you go 1, 2, 3 and everyone picks their guy who they're supposed to pick, you come to 4 and there's some kind of hesitation, some phone calls. That's when the draft really starts, and that's when the GM, the head coach, their experience has to play out to be able to get the player that's going to help this football team.
All right, John Spytek is a Michigan man. Tom Brady is a Michigan man. Yeah. Mason Graham is a Michigan man. Now, this is something that I'm really been debating this a while. Do we need a defensive tackle with the 6th pick overall? Yes, if he's available.
Yeah.
If he's available, he's different. Now, Christian Wilkins worked off an injury.
Right.
We're assuming he's going to be good to go.
Oh, good to go.
Adam Butler was re-signed.
Yes.
Malcolm Kuntz is off the edge. Max Crosby. How about Tyree? Tyree was taken 7 overall. He's a big part of this team. Can you imagine if this kid from Mission Viejo, who had an amazing career at Michigan, if he's still available and Jacksonville doesn't take him at 5 or the Patriots at 4, I'd be fine taking this guy. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, because it makes everyone behind him better. Your linebackers get better. Your safeties get better. Your corners get better. The time and the processing for the quarterback speeds up. So the quarterback, the offense, is now unnoticed. I played, as you know, I played with some of the best defensive linemen in football with Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Clyde Simmons. They made my job a lot easier, JT. They made those linebackers' job a lot easier. If you're a linebacker and you have a defensive tackle in Wilkins, and you have this young kid who are just kind of throwing offensive linemen all over the place, then they can kind of roam from sideline to sideline and they get better. So, of course, if he's there and he's at the opportunity, you would love that pick, too, as a defensive.
He's a really good player. So Solomon Wilcots will join us next from SiriusXM NFL Radio. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we'll go from the secondary inward. We'll talk about the linebackers as we are live from Chaos Pool with the Palms. Who has it better than us?
Nobody.
I mean, I don't know how many other draft parties there are. There's 31 other teams. No one does it like the Raiders, especially the Raiders in Las Vegas with all their partners and the assets they have here. We're going to have a great night tonight. Thanks for watching and listening on all the platforms here, especially Raider Nation Radio from the Palms.
Respect comes down to one thing, and that's respecting yourself.
Yeah, so we're here for our Elite Academy. It's our 3rd year we've been doing it. Really fun program where we're getting kids out to be in the same building our players are working out in. They get a little character development work in the team room with some alumni, some players. They're out here working on drills, things like that, doing some 7-on-7 scrimmage work. So yeah, just a fun day to develop, learn, build some camaraderie with kids throughout the city, and it's fun. With girls flag football, obviously it's grown a lot in the last few years. When we started this program a couple years ago, we had maybe 15 and 20 girls who came out, and now we're up to over 130.
Elite is a program that the Raiders put on and invite quite a few different high school, junior high school, elite offensive and defensive linemen out to practice their skills, to learn from a few different coaches, some new skills and techniques that they can take with them in the future and hopefully propel them to the next level. It's nothing but an incredible positive for the entire community, and definitely a positive for the young athletes, just to have such a powerful entity willing to spend time and give them time in the facility to better themselves. It's gotta make you humble as a young player and make you even want to do more and be a better young athlete, no matter what phase of athletics you're in.
I love it, man. Matter of fact, when I walked in the locker room, I thought I was going to start crying, man.
It's fantastic. It's a beautiful stadium.
If you start here, make sure you does that make sense? We gotta execute.
Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. We're live from the Palms, the pool, Chaos, the nightclub, Raider Nation. This is the season ticket holder party, and they're about to come in, and there is a line. So my wife's coming in. We got friends, a lot of our mutual friends coming in here. This is an amazing venue. Over 5,000 invited here. The entertainment's going to be great. You can hear some of it in the background now as we get going. Eric Allen, JT, we got a bunch of big guests. Gino Smith joins us live coming up on the set.
That's going to be super
and your guy, Hall of Famer Tim Brown.
Yes.
Because you're going into the Hall of Fame, and Timmy's going to be there with a gold jacket on stage. I got to ask you this quickly. You know that Mike Haynes doesn't leave. He's the guy that comes there no matter how long it is. He stays with his gold jacket. The gentleman Raider went to ASU like you.
Right.
Has it hit you yet that there's going to be former Eagles and Raiders and teammates on that stage as you speak?
Not really, JT. Sometimes in the morning, you're looking in the mirror, brushing your teeth, and you're like, wow, man, that old guy is going to be on the stage, in front of all those people, speaking about all the people who helped him get here. And you talk about Mike Haynes, and Mike has been in my corner from day one, and just one of the best cornerbacks to ever play in the National Football League. It's just been a great opportunity to really get in touch with all those folks who were a part of the journey. And the Raiders, man, they have stepped up and made life so much easier for my wife, with just all of the event planning and everything. The Raiders have just been amazing and awesome, and they've kind of brought the other two teams along with them and say, here's how you get it done. So just a fabulous organization. As you know, we are just in a really great spot.
All right, let's get into Will Johnson. As we mentioned, John Spytek, Michigan man. Here's one of the best. And you made a great point to me before the show began about the difference between the two seasons, 2023 and 2024.
Right.
If he came out last year, he might even have went higher, but he won a national championship. He's the same athlete, the same kid, got banged up a little bit this last year, but the will to win. And is he the best corner in this draft?
Well, after Travis, he's the best guy. Going back to last year, he was the defensive MVP of the national championship game in 2023. Just a guy who can make plays on the ball, and he's wearing that number 2. So obviously you're going to think about Charles Woodson. Just the strength, the size, the speed, the ability to be able to play zone and man, can travel, can play inside, give you a little bit of everything. And what I really like is the ball skills, right? Once he gets the ball, he has a great opportunity, and he has put it in the end zone. And that's kind of what we need as far as the Raiders are concerned, someone who can take the ball away and not only take it away, but put it in the end zone. Amazing player. I think he's one of those guys that are a non-miss. If you get him on the football team, particularly with what he's dealing with Pete Carroll, man, he's going to be really, really special in the National Football League. So I think if we have an opportunity maybe to trade back in the first round and have 2 picks, one of those picks could be Will Johnson, and the Raider fans would be really excited about what he can do.
So would I. I think he is a really good pick for the Raiders because he is a starter.
Right.
And again, everything is different with Pete Carroll. So I'm very careful with what I say, which I haven't said with other coaches in the past. Pete Carroll's going to make everybody compete.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
So if you're undrafted and you go up against Will Johnson, if you're better in practice, you're going to play.
Yeah, but we know Will is from Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh has the same type of vibe when you're talking about competition, good football players, guys who love football. This is who this guy is. He loves football, can't wait to play, and it'll make our football team better.
I just think with Jacorian Bennett, and you broke down a lot of his film last year, and what we saw last year from the corners, Jack Jones has left, and hey, great job by Jack. We really enjoyed Jack. He really played hard and made a lot of splash plays overall, but I think a lot of insiders around and people have said the strength of the Raiders is not their secondary. We lost Trayvon Merrick. He took the money. Robert Spillane took a nice payday at linebacker. We'll get into the linebackers coming up.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of experience at corner. I know you're big on Isaiah Palamal. He was re-signed overall, but hey, EA, they got to get some bodies in the secondary here.
We lost some production. There's no doubt about that. We lost some production, particularly at the safety spot. I think Epps last year really did a great job of lining guys up, being in the right spot at the right time. I think this year Trayvon did a really good job of really elevating his game, and that's what you do. When you elevate your game and someone calls and says, hey, we're going to give you a little bit more money, you go, right? And you have to find a way to fulfill those areas. Chin, free agent. Got him. He's a really productive football player in the middle of the football field, but you got to find a way to increase that cornerback room. It has to be a room that really can take advantage of that hopefully great defensive line that we're going to have, putting pressure on the quarterback and not just breaking balls up. Always go back to the point that you have to have cornerbacks who are going to be able to take the ball away, JT. DeCamerion, I thought later on in the season, kind of got some reps, kind of understood what it was going to be about in the National Football League. We have to find a way to get that room competitive, get it ready to go. If we're going to play some cover 4, which Pete has been famous at, so you can kind of have a corner who's a bigger body that can play that wide side of the football field, and then you have someone who can play the short side of the football field, but you understand exactly what's expected of you in the Pete Carroll defense. I think anyone who's playing cornerback, you have to be a little longer, a little stronger, a little bigger to be successful at the sub.
I am looking for clues from Pete Carroll, who's on Twitter. The breaking news, Pete Carroll's on Twitter. He's got 2 million followers, man. And he's putting out some clues here. But with Stokes and Chin, I think we understand. I'm not saying they're super elite. They're good players, but they're competition compete. So they're going to come in there, as you said, a little bit tougher. I loved covering the Legion of Boom nationally. Every time I watched the Seahawk game, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, the ball came over the middle, man. It was like Soul Patrol 1 or 2 with Atkinson and Tatum. And I'm talking at that level.
That's right.
They played at that level. And I think that Pete Carroll can take an undrafted player. I think he can take a 6th-round corner or safety and mold him into an outstanding starter in the NFL.
And what's great about that point is we can all kind of close our eyes and think about that defense and know exactly where they were, what kind of impact they had. If a play was going over the middle of the football field, you know that guy was going to be touched up by those safeties. If it was an outside throw, we know Richard Sherman was going to be unattacked. What gave those cornerbacks and safeties confidence in doing that is because they went through every situation in every defense that they were going to play in. So they were never surprised by what happened. If you see right now the accolades of Pete Carroll, just an amazing coach. And he continues to have that great energy. When we interviewed him, man, it's like he's 40, 50 years old. I mean, he's just a really on top of it kind of guy. And I think that year off really helped him kind of get back to what's important for his football team. If you were able to do it again, how would you build a football team? And he's in the perfect situation to put it all on paper right now.
I want to mention Vinny Bonsignore, our teammate on the radio in Vegas Nation. When the Raiders were looking to hire a coach, who was that coach going to be? He quickly got on the radar of Pete Carroll, and I started thinking about it. And the key for me is Pete Carroll's going to walk out of the tunnel with Max Crosby and Gino Smith, and he's going to look at Andy Reid, and he can say, I beat you many times. He can look at Harbaugh, and he could look at Peyton and beat them several times. Not someone that looks at a coach, and Antonio Pierce was a really good guy, and he competed as hard as anyone we met. Pete Carroll is at a point with his legacy where he just has the aura and the juice to go out there saying, I've competed against all of you and beat you.
Right.
So he knows he's going to put together game plans the night before the game. He's going to hype the team up at practices. Aren't you excited to go to some of these practices to see what he does differently than the other coaches?
And you walk into the organization and you know from the equipment staff, the training staff, the nutrition staff, all on the same page, because Pete's going to come and tell them, like, hey, we're going to have a very difficult practice today on Wednesday. It's going to be full speed. We're going to be hitting. We're going to be tackling. So everyone in the building, make sure weight room-wise, you're not giving the guys, their powerlifting days. Nutrition-wise, you got to make sure these guys are ready and ready to go and active in that aspect, because he has the organization all locked down, ready to roll.
I just peeked over your shoulder a minute ago and saw Jim Plunkett.
Hey,
you can't have a draft party without Jim Plunkett.
No, I'm looking straight forward. We got the guy, Marcus Allen, right in the booth. So we're all good now.
We're all good. We got a great show lined up. We're not even halfway home yet. Marcus Allen is here. Tim Brown is here. Gino Smith is going to join us live right here from the Palms, the Raiders season ticket draft party, and we are broadcasting it on all Raiders platforms. Thanks for joining us as we continue.
It's game day, the day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. It's time to suit up, Raider Nation. This is Raiders football, where we all bleed silver and black. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Every hat, every piece of gear. Let your loyalty show out. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game.
We
are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
Comes through again for the Raiders. Mayfield, boy, feels the pocket collapse, and they keep coming. Mayfield lit up again. Adam Butler starting to work up a lather for this defense. Second sack of Mayfield.
Raider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Breakdown. On this episode, we're going to take a look at defensive tackle Adam Butler's 2024 season. Adam Butler, once we saw him in training camp, talk so much about, hey, you guys just think I'm a pass rushing tackle. I'm not a pass rushing tackle. I can do it all. Look at the spatial awareness here. Run him down, tackle for a loss in the backfield. One more time, let's take a look for all you young guys out there trying to find out how to play defensive tackle in the National Football League. We're going to find a way to use our body to be able to separate between the guard, get down, get low, get dirty. Does a great job of getting in, causing a tackle for a loss. He deserves a lot of credit. Had a really strong season. He's a really veteran leadership type of guy in the locker room. But not only that, when you look at the technique, what he's trying to do, he blends that great strength. Look at that, bull rush him right back into the quarterback, provides that great strength, the power to speed, all those things you need to do to provide that depth for this defensive line of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's it this time on Microsoft Breakdown.
We are here at the Lion Habitat. We have a partnership with them, and we come out at different intervals. But today we have a special event going on with the Raiders. We are launching our Raiders Library card. We are here doing story time, promoting the Habitat, promoting the Raiders. We've got some crafts on the other side of the Habitat, and we're just engaging with our community.
These guys are native to Central and South America, and they can live for very long, about 60 to 80 years.
Well, of course, the library is always promoting literacy, the more they read, the better readers they become, the better writers they become. We love when our community partners join that mission with us. It's really, really important to know that the kids know that the grown-ups all around them are supporting them.
It's our live pre-draft roundtable. JT along with the soon-to-be Hall of Famer Eric Allen. We just saw Marcus Allen.
Hey.
How about that?
Come on now. You know that.
I know that.
You know.
San Diego,
Oh,
right?
man. The best. You know, when you start talking about just kind of guy who can impact as a rookie coming in and kind of dominating the league, the ultimate weapon, really. He could throw, obviously. He played quarterback in high school, came to USC, played fullback for the great Charles White, who won the Heisman. He went to running back, won the Heisman, came to the Raiders, Super Bowl MVP, just an amazing football player.
Solomon Wilcots, I've been interviewing him for 26 or 7 radio rows. He's one of the longest tenured Sirius XM guys from NFL radio. Great career as a defensive back. Solomon, how about being with Eric Allen as he's on his way to Canton, Ohio for the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Hey, I couldn't be happier for him. And look, Eric, you earned every bit of it, my friend. In fact, in my opinion, they kept you waiting too long, man. You were locking them down. We always appreciated the way you played.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was right on time, though. My kids and the family are able to enjoy it. They're a little bit older now, so that's kind of what I say now. Everyone's able to enjoy it, and we have so many more people who are going to be able to be on the ride with us.
That's right. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Solomon. Let's jump in with what you think first with the Raiders at 6 and knowing what the Raiders' needs are. They've been mocked with Ashton Genty, Will Johnson, a corner, just knowing what could happen with some of the noise of the teams that might want to trade up possibly in front of the Raiders at 6. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, we all are kind of linking the running back position. I think it's really about the offense. I think running back, wide receiver, even offensive line, like what you mentioned, I think that would be the right play for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think when you're picking anywhere around the top 5 or within the top 10, you're looking for a difference maker. You're looking for a game changer, someone who's going to be with the organization for the next 10 years. But you're looking for a day one starter, someone who's going to provide impact. If Ashton Genty's there, we all know he would be a great fit. I think with what Saquon Barkley showed the NFL last year is that the running back position, if it's the right player, right, sort of a 3-down player, a guy who can do everything like a Marcus Allen. You guys are just talking about him. If you have that kind of skill set, that's the guy you should be taking. That's the kind of guy you want in your offense. Think about it. You pair him with what you have in Gino Smith and what you have in a really great tight end like Brock Bowers. I think now you have that sort of the weapons you need offensively to be able to have an offense that can score consistently.
Well, talk about that a little bit. When we have a safety, if you're a safety position and you have a tight end like Brock Bowers and you have a running back like Genty, how does that affect you as a safety, on second and third down?
Well, what it does, it means you have to commit more to the box, right? You can't get caught with a light box trying to cover the receivers and then a tight end who is potent as Brock Bowers. You might have to double cover him. So whenever you have to commit an extra defensive back in pass coverage, that's going to create a light box. And for the best running backs who know how to make the first unblocked defender miss, that's the kind of guy who can take it to the house. Genty has that other gear that allows him to turn a 20-yard run into a 50 or 60-yard run. He has that other gear to take it to the house, like what you saw with Saquon Barkley. In fact, guys, you should know that the NFL is getting back to the run game. Last year, 19 teams, there were 19 teams that ran the ball more in 2024 than they did the year before in 2023. 19 teams. There were actually 4 teams that ran the ball 500 times or more. The previous year, 2023, no teams ran it 500 times. No teams had over 500 rushing attempts. Of those 4 teams that ran it 500 times, all 4 of them went to the playoffs. And, of course, one of them won the Super Bowl, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's a great
Solomon,
point.
when you talk on NFL radio and you see Pete Carroll and you know Tom Brady's now in the room, I want to also talk about Chip Kelly and what he did at Ohio State with two backs that went over 1,000 yards, the best wide receiver in the country, a good quarterback. Chip Kelly can get his two running backs, one of the two in the second round, if the Raiders aren't able to get Genty and want to go offensive tackle. What do you like about this coaching group along with John Spytek as the Raiders have a new regime?
I love the fact that they're going to get back and use the running back as a weapon. I think Josh Jacobs was the guy we saw what he did after he left the Raiders to go to Green Bay. These two guys kind of remind me of a Josh Jacobs. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, both guys are power runners. You know, I live in the Cincinnati area, so we're not too far from Columbus. I got to see these guys often, every single week. And what they can do, they provide power. They can block and pass protection. We all know that they can convert on short yardage and around the goal line, but they can, they can hit you for big runs as well, and they can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. That's what I love about the program. I love about these two running backs. There's nothing that you're going to ask a running back to do that they can't do. They can do it all, and they give you the tough running, guys that can wear down defenses. You and I both know, Eric will tell you, it's those running backs that guys don't want to tackle late in games. Those are the guys you want on your team.
Yeah, for sure. And we're playing keep away also. When you're talking about being able to control the ball, keep the ball away from Kansas City, keep the ball away from the Chargers. So let's go on the other side of the ball, though. We're talking about our cornerback room is really light right now. We have some young players, but we need a pivotal player at cornerback, either the first or somewhere in the early part of this draft, to be able to just get some competition in that room, don't you think?
Yeah, that's very true. And it'll be, listen, what the kind of defense that Pete Carroll loves and the kind of corners that he loves are guys who are long, who are rangy. Guys like Richard Sherman, you remember him, they play that single high man sort of top-down coverage. They stay on the upfield shoulder. They don't necessarily get into that press man technique that you did so well, Eric. You remember that. They love to be able to see through the receiver to the quarterback and play top down. They can disguise that where they run seam three or single high cover three. But they want all eyes back in on the quarterback. And that's going to really give them a chance to make a lot of plays on football. Travis Hunter is a really good man cover guy. Will Johnson can do both. He's excellent at man as well as zone coverage. And the other guys, I think you just got to get a good feel for them. But I think they're looking for guys who are closer to 6 feet with tall sort of length, a lot of range, who can play press man, but not in the trail technique. Again, they like to play top down in man coverage with eyes in back on the quarterback. I love the technique that they teach, but this is about getting the right players for what they want to do. You remember in Seattle, they had Tyreek Woolen. A lot of people didn't even know a lot about Tyreek. He wasn't a highly drafted player, but he came and fit right into their system and was able to play right away.
Solomon, I've been dying to ask you this for a month, and then I'll follow up with Eric Allen. Travis Hunter playing both ways. What a great debatable topic, because the Raiders have a Hall of Famer in Charles Woodson who didn't play a lot of offense. When he did come in and play offense in Oakland, you remember the crowds went nuts when he came out there. I wish he did it more, but he was a Hall of Famer that morphed over to safety. Do you think this young man is going to play 100% of the snaps if he goes to Cleveland, or is he primarily going to be a cornerback, or do you think a wide receiver and not play the entire game?
Now, I think if he goes to Cleveland, after what we heard from Andrew Berry, their general manager, who said that they primarily see him as a wide receiver. But Andrew Berry also compared him to Shohei Ohtani and said that he was a unicorn. So that tells you if they're drafting him, they have plans to primarily play him at wide receiver. And listen, they have some really good corners in Cleveland. Denzel Ward is an all-pro player. Greg Newsom's a former first-round pick, and Martin Emerson Jr. is pretty good. So that tells you they can bring him in at special times on third down. If they have 4 good corners if they're going to play on the defensive side of the ball. And I think he can do that. I think here's what you got to really understand, I would want to play him on both sides of the ball because he's shown us he could do it as much as anyone has shown us coming out of college that they can play on both sides of the ball. This guy has shown that he has the physical ability to do it. More importantly, he's got, I think, the conditioning to be able to do it. You already know his agent, if he pulls this off, is going to want you to pay him like he's two players. Because whenever you start calling guys a unicorn, the players, the agent's going to say, yeah, he's a unicorn. He's one of one. So you got to pay him. You got to pay the guy a lot of money. So here's, as a coach, you know what I'm going to do? All right, man, listen, you're our best receiver, and we're going to put you on their best receiver. You got Justin Jefferson this week. You got Jamar Chase this week. Because you already know he's going to want to be paid like he's the best at both positions. So I'm going to ask him to go out and earn it. That's all I'm going to do. As a coach, he told me that's what he wanted to do. I'm going to give him the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I think you do give him the opportunity, the chance to do it. And not getting to late in the year or late in his career and say, oh, we should have done it earlier in your career.
No. He's insisting on it.
Yeah, he should.
Solomon made a great point. Ohtani has showed it, and he's going to want to chase the bank on that. Solomon, before you go, late round corners, how does a late round corner get into this league and play and earn a spot and go up against Jefferson and go up against Chase? Because I've always said you guys were able to do it at the highest level. When you're young and you're a rookie and you're going up against you're going up against A.J. Brown, a 7-8-year veteran.
Yeah.
Sometimes these veteran receivers are able to rip these young players apart. What's that journey like for a late round corner? And we got a few of them up here on the screen to make the team come in and have an impact.
So I'm going to just tell you, there are some examples of guys doing this. One of the best examples is a guy by the name of Everson Walls. He was from an HBCU school. He went undrafted. He led the league in interceptions as a rookie, okay? You know what? You got to have technique, got to be sound in what you do. The number one trait for corners, and Eric knows this, you got to be fearless, man. You cannot be afraid. Wide receivers are like sharks. They can smell fear in the water, man. So can the best quarterback, because they're going to try you. They're going to try you. But as a corner, you got to understand, look, particularly when you're a press man, your job is not to try to defend every blade of grass. Your job is to disrupt the timing of the passing game. They cannot complete a pass without having perfect timing between the quarterback and the receiver. Now, as a corner, they give you help, man. They give you a pass rush, right? And they tell you you get to put your hands on him. You can put your hands on him in the first 5 yards. So if you have the length, you have the size, if you have the tenacity, because that's what's really important. It's about up here. Darrelle Revis wasn't the fastest corner, but he was tenacious.
Right.
That guy was standing in front of you. He didn't open his hips. He didn't open the gate and give you free access down the field. You got to stand in front of these guys, and you got to challenge them, and you got to disrupt their timing and disrupt their release off the line of scrimmage. And if you can do that and stay in front of them, quarterbacks will come off of them. They see you getting jammed and watered at the line of scrimmage. They come off you right now. Eric will tell you that. But to me, the great corners, the Hall of Fame guys like what you sit next to, they didn't play with fear, man. They didn't play with trepidation, saying, "Oh, I can't get beat. Oh, I can't give up the deep one." It never crosses their mind. They trust their technique, and they go out and execute. And you got to be physical in this game. Wide receivers don't want to make it grimy. They don't want to play that game. And so they don't want to play in the mud. You can do. What was that?
They don't want to play in the mud.
No, they don't. So you got to get physical with them, but you have to stay in front of them and use excellent technique. That's what I'll leave you with.
Solomon, great to see you again. You're great to us. Thanks for always coming on the Raider platforms. Enjoy the draft tonight. We appreciate you.
Good
you guys take care. And Eric, great to see you, man. Congratulations again to you.
Thanks, bro.
How great was that? Solomon Wilcots from Sirius XM and his career in the league. Coming up next, one of the all-time greats, Marcus Allen joins us from the set. He is here. We'll sit down and talk about the running back position. Who better to talk about running backs than the great Marcus Allen, as we are live from Chaos inside the Palms pool area. The Raiders season ticket holders got a great party going on. We appreciate everybody being here on all the platforms, especially YouTube. Thanks for joining us. We got a big show the rest of the way. Gino Smith is going to join us too. Live pre-draft roundtable.
I love it, man. Matter of fact, when I walked in the locker room, I thought I was going to start crying.
It's fantastic. It's a beautiful stadium.
Gives the run just a yard. It's Devin White.
Man, you remember Devin White back in Tampa? He was the speedster creating havoc everywhere. But watch the speed when he takes off. And I really think what he does best is rush the passer.
Yep.
When they use him to get after the quarterback, he gets there in a hurry.
Raider Nation, on this episode of Microsoft Breakdown, Devin White, linebacker for our Las Vegas Raiders. When I talk about veterans, some of the evaluation is a little bit different. It's about your net up, how smart you are. Here, we're disguising what we're doing. They drop out in Tampa too. And that puts so much pressure on the linebackers. What an incredible interception. When we go back here, here's what we're thinking. Linebacker, I'm on the line of scrimmage. I have to cover 15 to 20 yards deep. And the quarterback has the advantage in this situation. So it shows me the smarts that he understands the route combinations, and watch him curl right underneath this deep stop route. In all hands, outstanding interception by our linebacker, Devin White. So he's going to be a really good guy in the film room, in the locker room, and making plays like that on the football field. Love to see that. Well, hey, when you're playing linebacker, it's all about how many times you can get in the backfield and get a tackle for loss. Really love this play here because a lot of alignments, you got to kind of understand where you are. And if we stop it here, he's keying that guard. So if that guard disappears and goes left, he has to follow him. But you have to have the athleticism and the speed to be able to attack that hole and go down. The guards are gone, and I'm going too. He's looking through the guard to the running back. And that guard goes, it's going to give him a key. Okay, I'm going to follow it. And to be able to beat that tight end coming down to block him, man, what an amazing play. What a smart play. Big time by Devin. Gets it done. That's it this time on Microsoft Breakdown.
It's game day, the day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game. We are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear, exclusively at the Raider Image.
We're here to win. We're here to do this thing the right way. We want to lead the right way. I want to be a big part of the culture here and just doing the right things and really just leave my mark on my teammates, on the team, and the organization.
I'm here for a reason. Happy to be in the silver and black. Ready to go out there and again be a part of the community, meet all the fans, go out there on the field and just be excellent.
I'm going to be the guy that's going to give every single thing that I got, and that's every single day. I'm never going to let up. I'm going to do whatever it takes to go out there and win. The work starts now. I'm looking forward to it, and it's really going to be exciting.
All right, we are back live at the Raiders pre-draft party at the Palms Chaos Pool. Eric Allen, soon to be Hall of Famer, JT, and the Hall of Famer, Marcus Allen joins us.
Yeah. Oh,
Look at you. Look at you in Vegas again.
Soon
Good
to be
to
Hall
see
of
you. No doubt.
Another Allen in the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Got my guy.
Is that the San Diego connection?
Oh,
you guys
man,
always
it's
talk
just
about?
like, yeah. You know, from the beginning, you know, wearing the long sleeves because he wore the long sleeves. I mean, so many things in my game that people didn't know that I copied off him. I wanted so bad my first year to wear Pumas, but no, they were like, you can't wear Pumas, man. We're a Nike league right now, you know.
Yeah.
I want Pumas, man, like Marcus.
You wore Cliff's number in San Diego,
yes,
right? You were a
yes,
Cliff
yes.
guy, too, growing up.
Oh, yeah, man. The Raiders were my squad because he was on the squad, you know. So,
What do you think, Marcus? Everyone's saying Ashton Genty, if he's available. You've been able to talk to him a little bit this past year. First, tell us about his style of play, and if the Raiders are fortunate to get him, what could they expect?
Well, he has a unique style. I think it's one thing that I really like is just balance and the way he runs under control, and he's powerful. And obviously, he has the size where it makes it, in my opinion, difficult to really sort of bend down and tackle a guy like that, right? Guys that are 6'2", myself like Eric Dickerson, maybe Henry, Eddie George, guys like that. I mean, we're much, easier target, we got a lot of body. He's short. I mean, reminds me of, the size of Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, but he has just tremendous balance, guys, and great vision. And he has a lot of speed, too. And more importantly, he's a great dude. Yeah. I got a chance to talk to him throughout the year and stuff. And he's a very modest guy, I mean, he has great ambition and stuff and wants to be one of the best players that ever played. But he's pretty, he has humility, which I like, which says a lot about him and stuff. And I think he paid great tribute to the guys on his team and his offensive linemen, and I think he did an amazing job, and I was hoping that he would break the record, the collegiate record, but unfortunately it didn't happen and stuff. But you cannot argue with what he accomplished. It's amazing, I think so.
Yeah, amazing. And what I like to see is you turn the tape on, and a couple things. You need to win with your skill set.
Yeah.
Whatever that skill set is, it can be different. I'm not a big comparison guy because when you're at the top of the game like he is, you can kind of set that on yourself. It'll be able to win, and then have something that you've been able to overcome. What did you overcome? What in your game? So do you have any insight into some of the things that he had to overcome to be the kind of player he is?
Well, I think he was just sort of, overlooked, really. When you look at his background and stuff, and I think he coming from Europe, I think it is.
Yeah, I think Canada.
Jacksonville through Texas.
Yeah.
Bounced around a lot and ends up at Boise State and a lot of
right. That's what I mean. So
you
would think that he may have a chip on his shoulder, but you wouldn't know it, right? I mean, he doesn't walk around and saying, I'm angry at the world because they overlooked me or anything like that. But he has this burning desire down inside to be successful and stuff. Right. And that's what's really important. I think, I'm sure you had that. I had that. I never said much coming in, but I had this burning desire to be great. There were a lot of people that said I would be an average player. I wouldn't last very long in the National Football League, but I thought differently and stuff. And that's the only thing that really matters is how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
And I know he has a very humble opinion about himself, but a high opinion of himself.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Marcus, before you came on set, we were talking about Raheem Mostert, who a couple of years ago led the entire NFL in rushing. You know about that stat. They have him. It was disappointing Zamir White didn't have a big year last year because the Raiders were dead last in rushing. So this is something that has to be improved, and the Raiders brought in a veteran running back in Mostert to help with that.
Well, it's not what. Let's be candid. It wasn't just the running backs. I mean, I think they didn't have in my opinion, the type of running back that actually could pick a hole. They needed to maybe to run power more, or run in a particular area, as opposed to have a guy that can actually jump around and pick holes and find the openings and stuff like that. Mostert is an explosive guy.
Yeah, he can go.
And he has great size, and I'm hoping that he can stay healthy and they can create. Again, it's all about creating plays, understanding what you have, and then building plays around them where they can be successful. You know, that's what's really important.
What's it like when you have a great year, a legendary year, then you get banged up, then you come back the next year, you're on a new team? I mean, the ability to prove yourself in a new location, I think that's what he brings to Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly and Tom Brady's in this organization now. It seems like he's probably going to have a chip on his shoulder here in Las Vegas.
I'm sure, you know, I'm sure you've had it. I've had it and stuff, you know. Once one team writes you off, and you're like, well, you know, I can still play, and you want to go out and prove that. But more importantly, I think if you're a really good athlete, you just want to be, you know, you just want to go out and do what you know you can do.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, you know, some part of it is about, you know, proving others wrong and stuff, but the majority of it is about, hey, I just know I can play, and if I'm given the right situation, I can prosper and be a great back.
Right. How does a running back kind of deal with the situation where the offensive line is, you know, kind of up and down, not consistent? Is there anything you can say? Do you wait till game day? What kind of what that?
There's an understanding, and I always said this to my guys. One, I never showcased a guy ever. Right. I would always pull him aside and say, listen here, you know, maybe we can do this, we can do that and stuff. But for the most part, I said, if you miss your block, just don't stand in the way.
Oh, okay.
Don't turn around and go like, oh, you know, I missed it. No, just go to the next guy and give me an opportunity to try to make that guy miss and then make something happen.
Right. So you're going to make him right.
Yeah, just, you know, whatever you do, just go 100 miles an hour and just keep going, but don't stop. Right. Because, you know, you got they're trying to stop you, but if you stand in the hole, that's another defender you actually have to worry about and stuff. So that's what I always told my guys. Listen, as long as they gave effort, you know, and I play with guys that gave everything they got, you know. And some of the guys that I played with, I mean, I look at Mickey Marvin, you know. Mickey wasn't physically the most gifted guy, but boy, did he give you everything. And you know, I love playing with guys like that. You're talking about Wisniewski now. Well, he's a different story, though, but he was actually a different caliber guy.
Right, yeah.
He was mean and he was nasty, and he was good, dude. He could, you know, I love playing with Wiz. But
Steve's going to have the second pick of the draft. He's back at Lambeau, so second round.
That's right.
He's going to have our pick. Marcus, I'd like you to share with us what you know about Pete Carroll in the SC years, winning championship, you going back to the sideline, and what was that relationship like as the SC team was dominant, like the teams you played on, and the role that Pete Carroll played?
Pete created a culture. That's what he created. And he had everybody practicing hard and working on their craft. And he made, you know, the ones goes against the ones, and you know, iron sharpened iron, and that's what it was. And he did it with enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, I mean, you go back, I mean, you look at some of the teams that you play on and stuff like that, and, you know, sometimes the culture's great and sometimes it isn't.
Right.
And when it's bad, it's bad. But if you have a great culture, when you have a bunch of guys that love to go to work, that want to be great, and you know, pay attention to their craft and give it everything they got and believe in the guy next to them, dude, it's powerful. And then on top of that, you know, it's maybe overused and stuff, but when guys actually love each other, dude, and care about each other, you know, it's a powerful formula, right? Yes, it is.
That brings me to like the enthusiasm to get better and want to be great. Do you think that is? Because I just enjoy practice. I enjoyed coming to practice, and
I didn't call it, but well, we called it practice, but individually, it was what we were working on our craft.
Working on your craft,
right? And so we enjoyed working on our craft. So we didn't actually call it. It was called practice, but individually, it wasn't called practice to us. It was.
You got better right there.
Yes, it was. That's what I did.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you think that's lost right now with some of the young players that are coming in, or do you think it's the same?
I really don't know. I really don't know. And the fact that I don't know is bad. But no, because you should be able to see that, right?
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if I do.
The guy. Well, that's what I said. The guys that actually show up on Sunday and perform well, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Those guys show you who they are, not just that day.
Max Crosby.
They show you. Dude, because what he shows you, he's that person every day.
Every day.
Every day. So it's not like he's turning on the switch, dude.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And some guys think they can just turn on the switch. You can't, dude.
You can't.
You have to. The best thing I always talk about when I played, and I hate to say when I play, but I touched the ball in college. Every time I touched it, I went 40 yards. That's what John Robinson told me. I did that for 16 years in the National Football League, dude.
We heard.
Hey, there were guys that would there were guys that would touch it 10 yards and turn around.
Right, yeah, we heard about you.
And then
we heard about
so
you.
I was like, but that was one of the great lessons that I learned and stuff. And then it served me well. I mean, well into my career and stuff, and having a long run and stuff like that. It wasn't nothing new to me. I did it all the time.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Have a great trip here. Are you going to stick around? Freddie B. Golf coming up. Freddie Bolitnikov.
Yeah.
Vegas
Whenever there's golf, we're just trying to get him to sharpen his game up right now and stuff.
Oh, I know he's going to take you aside.
Yes,
Hall
we're
of
going to have
Fame
to.
advice.
Always.
Well, I mean, listen here. If his name was last name Adams or something, I was fine. But it's Allen, so we can't. We got a reputation to him.
How great is this? Have a great time tonight, Marcus.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Live from the Palms, we're having a great time today. We got Gino Smith, who's going to join us live on the set. And look at this crowd. As the Raider fans are coming in, filling up this great pool setting at the Palms in Las Vegas. The pre-draft show continues on Raider Nation Radio and all our platforms.
Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner in '87 at Notre Dame.
To be drafted by the Raiders, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. I was in my little apartment in South Bend. That was before they started bringing guys to New York. It was Ron Wolf who called me, and I remember him saying, "Do you want to be a Raider?" And I started screaming like a little girl. It was on TV. I got the call right before the Raiders pick, and so I got to hear them say Tim Brown. It was quite different than today. So much fanfare that goes along with the draft, but not so much back then. So it was a phone call, they made the announcement, and then the next team was on the clock. I told my agent, look, man, I didn't know if I could come in and learn the receiver position that quick to be able to make a difference. We got to the Raiders, we said, okay, James Lofton, Mervin Fernandez, Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson, Todd Christensen. If we can get here, they're obviously not going to need me day one, and that'll give me a chance to learn this position and be ready to play. You literally almost have to pinch yourself sometimes. To be in the locker room with Howie Long, with Todd, and with Marcus, it was really a little freaky because you watch these guys for years play at such a high level, and all of a sudden you're there in the locker room, and guess what? They're expecting you to meet that or better it. And even though I didn't feel a lot of pressure at the same time, I wanted to get better. I'm forever grateful for the Raiders organization, and certainly for Mr. Davis for giving me a shot to be a Raider.
Back at it. Bright and early. What time is it? 5:40? Come on, that.
With the 100th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Trey Tucker, wide receiver, Cincinnati.
I was in my room, threw the phone in there, grabbed a snack, and walked out to the bathroom. And like I said, this phone, if it was ringing, it could only be a team. So when it rang, I mean, I think I darted through my door. Actually, the door in my room broke because I had the knob and I shut it, and I darted in there and looked at the phone, and it literally it said like Raiders football. It didn't say Las Vegas, it said Raiders football. So right then and there, it was like the Raiders, like Raiders football. And like I said, I mean, I probably answered the phone quicker than anybody could. So, but that was what that moment was like.
Open man at the 20 is Tucker, into the 10, dives to the pylon, touchdown Raiders! Throwing, there's a wide open man in the end zone, back pylon, touchdown Raiders!
Something I'll never forget, and I still have the screenshot of when the Raiders called me on draft day. And someday I'm gonna try to get that picture and blow it up, and it'll never be forgotten.
The pre-draft party is rolling. Look at this crowd as we're live from the Palms, the Chaos Pool and Theater, along with the soon-to-be Hall of Famer Eric Allen, JT. We just had Marcus Allen, and now we have our quarterback, Gino Smith. Gino, great to see you, and again, welcome to Vegas.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on, guys.
How much fun are you having so far, settling everyone in, the family, and just getting used to the city now?
It's been so fun. The best part is being around the guys and being in the locker room. We had a great week of practice this week, man. We got to, go 7-on-7, do some 11-on-11, get, really just, get to compete. That's what I'm all about. So it's real fun just to go up against the defense and kind of talk some trash and stuff like that, make some plays.
Now, you're talking about talking trash. Now, obviously, Max Crosby is the biggest trash talker on the football team.
Yes, he is.
Talk about you and him. Haven't you guys gotten into it yet?
Not yet. All of our conversations have been great, and Max is such a great teammate,
yes.
and such a great player, and just to see it up close, man, just to get, to see his leadership up close. Very inspired by the way that he goes about his business, and I can't wait, like you said, for us to just go at it and compete, make each other better every day in practice. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm about.
When I talked to you the day you signed, I asked you about competition, Pete. There's a new sign, compete, and you kind of said it to this new audience here. What are we going to see? What makes it so great when Pete Carroll gets into the building and he starts bumping into all he is an hour before practice, an hour and a half? What's that energy like?
Man, he brings the most energy in the building. He's always going to have just this upbeat, up-tempo, just way about him, and I think it's really contagious. And when it spreads throughout the locker room, right, winning is contagious, and that's something that we want to continue to breed excellence. We want to talk about our winning habits. We want to do the right things on a daily basis. We want to perform in practice. It's not just practice. The way that we practice is how we'll play. And so everything that we do, the words that we stand by, the people that we are, it has to be showcased on a daily basis.
Now, will you sit down with Pete at some time, or if you have already, sit down and talk about what leadership is going to be like for this football team that it wasn't maybe for Seattle? Or do you guys sit down and talk about, how to lead a football team?
Yeah, the great thing about Coach and I is that, I've been the backup quarterback for him. I've been the starting quarterback for him, and he knows the type of person that I am. I lead by example. He knows that I'm going to be the hardest working guy in the building, and I'm going to push to all my teammates to do the same thing. And I think that's what, he wants. He wants me to go out there and be myself, all of us to be ourselves, but also just go out there and play ball, have fun, enjoy what we're doing. We're blessed to be in this position and, get Raider Nation excited, go win a bunch of games.
That's a great segue, Gino, to what I want to talk about. If you're not a starter on this team and you're a backup corner or you're backup and you're trying to make your name on special teams, that's what's different with Pete and the staff, right? Where you know if you play well and put it on film, you got a shot to play.
Yeah, and I'm a living example of that. Yeah. I took the bull by the horns a couple years ago, and he gave me a chance to compete for it, and here we are. And the best thing is that, like you said, man, when guys go about their business the right way, he'll reward you. He'll make sure that you'll be rewarded, and you can't say that about every coach, and that's what makes him special.
You're in a really unique situation here with the Raiders, being the quarterback of this football team, and so many of our quarterbacks who've been in this franchise have been other places,
yes, sir,
and then come to the Raiders and been able to kind of establish this great brand, Rich Gannon and so many others.
Yes, sir.
But what do you think about that great opportunity?
I'm so excited for it. I'm really excited for him. I'm really in a good place as a player. and I'm working extremely hard to get better every day. I feel really good about what we're doing on offense. I feel really good about the direction of the team. It doesn't matter where I've been before here. It's about what we do here and how we, establish ourselves here, in Las Vegas.
So you don't know the pick. Pete Carroll's given out some clues. The Sinners movie, there's a Snoop Dogg clue. You told us, we're not going to dive too deep into it, but you know Coach pretty well. Could he be trying to get everyone off the trail or bringing everyone on the journey?
What is this? Come on, Coach.
That might be a good movie he saw. I mean, we don't know, but, I'm pretty sure there's a clue somewhere in there, and we'll figure it out here soon.
Is there anyone in the draft that you have a personal relationship with?
This year, not many. I talked to Will Howard a few times because he was throwing to my cousin down there at Ohio State. But not many of the guys. Some of those. I mean, I'm so far removed from these guys.
You're not old.
They're a lot younger than me. Yeah, I'm not old, but these guys are a lot younger than me. So I'm just really big fans of them. Just watching them in college.
And Snoop Dogg. I mean, Snoop Dogg is one of Pete's favorites, always around practice.
Pete's got 2 million followers on X. He's got to feed the machine, you know what I mean?
He has to give us something more, Coach Pete. You got to give us something more.
Hey, Gino, we don't know the pick, obviously. A lot of mocks have Ashton Genty. The Raiders last year were dead last in rushing. That'll be improved this year with a better offensive line and maybe a better scheme. But everybody knows you want to get that running game going to work play action to Brock.
Yes, sir.
Jacoby Myers. I mean, Trey Tucker we saw coming back from break. You got a deep guy on the side. You got Brock who can do everything. And Jacoby's 1,000 yards, no drops, none.
Yeah.
So then assuming the Raiders get another receiver, you really got to like with the offensive line some of the pieces that are in place.
Yeah, I love the pieces we have in place. Like I said, man, we've been on the practice field and I can see it, you know, and these guys, like you said, Trey is a dynamic young receiver who's well on his way, and Jacoby has had multiple 1,000-yard receiving, seasons. You got, like you said, you got Brock. I really like Michael Mayer. I think having a 1-2 punch at tight end, you think about Gronk and what Brady did when he was in New England. These are the way you want to have. You want to have multiple weapons, and you want to have an OC like Chip Kelly who knows how to use these guys. He knows how to put guys in position to make plays. And so it's my job to get them the ball, and so that's why we're working to make sure that happens.
Now let's talk about Chip Kelly. He recruited you out of high school.
Yep. What
did he do wrong? Because obviously you didn't go to where he was.
It was so far away from home. I mean, it just that was my dream school. Honestly, I really wanted to go to Oregon. I remember a young Chip. We sat in my weight room for about an hour when I was in high school, and I also, like I said, my cousin, played for him last year, and they won the Natty. And so, Chip and I have always had a great relationship. When I was coming out for the draft, he was, he had the top pick with the Eagles. I visited him there, and so he and I have always kept in contact. And I think it's just fate, man. It was meant to happen, and so now it's happening.
And the Tom Brady experience, sitting down with him, and we talked about that on radio. Looking back on that, and Tom Brady from the league, and obviously he's calling games now and as a minority owner. What can you share with the audience about what he's like in this position now where he can help you along the way?
Yeah, the same guy. Extremely focused. He's locked in. He's dialed in. He has a vision. He knows what he wants. And we talk about that vision and how to go about it. And so to have Tom Brady, in your corner, that's any quarterback's dream. But also we talk about winning. We want to win right now, and that's what it's about. And so, just establishing ourselves, establishing the message, and then going out there and doing the right things and doing what it takes.
Well, thanks for doing this. I mean, you're going to see Vegas and a draft and the pick, whoever it is. You're going to see what these fans are like when Raider Nation comes together.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Really appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. So we're going to excuse Gino Smith and thanks him for coming here. And then we're going to go to Paul Gutierrez, who's going to join us as we take a look at the draft order coming up here. Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jaguars. EA, I told you, I think the draft starts with the Giants at 3 because Travis Hunter will be gone at 2. Obviously, Cam at 1, the way it looks. And then the Patriots are in a really good spot because the Patriots could take Abdul Carter and really have a great run overall. But will the Jaguars say with Liam Cohn and their new GM and just say to everybody, we got Etienne, we got a good back, but we can get Genty. What do you think could happen there?
Well, that's when the draft starts. When everything is kind of works out the way you're supposed to, there's really not a lot of pressure. So when you look at the Raiders and you think, hey, you know what, the running game is so important for this football team. I think for the identity of what Pete wants to do, he wants to have a powerful running game to be able to take advantage of those play actions and opportunities to target downfield. And like we were talking to so many people about the last couple days is you love the relationship of the tight end and running back. So now that puts so much pressure on that safety and that defensive coordinator to roll that guy down in the box. It gives you more opportunities to really attack them downfield. So until then, until there's some moves made and some phone calls made, the draft is just kind of a common draft, right? But once someone moves up or moves down, that's when it starts, and that's when the GM and the head coach really have to get together and find a way to get it done.
We bring back Paul Gutierrez now covering the Raiders here inside the building. And Paul, what can you tell us? We just had Gino on, and he feels really good, really comfortable at home as he was talking about the workouts they had last week.
Yeah, that's great to be able to get Gino Smith's take on everything. I'll tell you, I'm about 20 yards, about a 20-yard Gino Smith out pass from the draft room here in the facility. And about 20, 25 minutes ago, there was an audible kind of a cheer. Not necessarily a roar, but there was a cheer. Take that for what it means, I don't know. But the fact that they're getting ready, they're fired up. It's been a very placid, very calm demeanor here in the building. Not a lot of excitement except for that right there. So, again, the draft getting ready to get going. They're ready to go. The hay is in the barn, so to speak, and you're just waiting for this thing to get going. And I agree with you guys. The draft doesn't really start until some moves are made or until Ashton Jeanty gets drafted. I think that's really where the draft begins, because if you're going chalk in the first couple picks, the Ashton Jeanty selection is really what's going to set the first domino, setting things going forward from there.
What do you think of these Pete Carroll tweets? I'm sure you're watching it. He said he put out some clues. We threw a couple of them up here. He's having fun, and he's teaching a class at SC, and we're seeing this from the movie. And I think it's interesting that he can do this in between downtime. Either they know who they're taking. It's a done deal. They have an idea who they're going to take. Right. So, Paul, do you like this with a little downtime in the era of social media we all live in?
Absolutely. That just shows that he kind of gets it. And he's young at heart, and we saw that. I mean, I covered him at USC at the turn of the century for the LA Times. And something that I noticed here, standing up here on the balcony, looking down, you see the portable basketball hoop down there. And that was one thing that Pete Carroll and his staff would do at USC. And we'd be there covering basketball, and you see the football team and the staff coming in, and they'd be playing shirts versus skins. And Pete Carroll, 20 years ago, he was skins. So I'm sure they're probably doing the same thing here. But trying to figure out those clues, I mean, he also tweeted out The Office. So I'm thinking, okay, Michael Scott, Michael B. Jordan, Calvin Brodus. I don't know, guys. I can't figure it out. But, Snoop Dogg is Calvin Brodus. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what it all means. Other than, I think it's a great idea for Pete to do it. And beyond that, if you notice, it's the first time Pete has tweeted since 2023. It's almost 2 years since he's taken the time to do it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so take a look at that, too. And try to throw all the clues together and figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I tell you, Paul, when you start to get down to it, if it's not Jeanty, who do you feel like would be the next guy coming up if it's not Jeanty?
So I'm gonna quote a couple polls I've done on my social media channels, and again, we all know what social media is, right? But fans are either, if they stay at 6, you either take a running back if it's Jeanty, and if he's not there, try to trade back and get an offensive tackle. I'm kind of the same mind. I think that's kind of a perfect scenario for these guys. I mean, unless you feel that Ashton Jeanty is that transitional player, that foundational piece, then you got to get him. But at the same time, if you can get more picks later on and you're continuing to build this program, you do that as well. And it's interesting to me. One thing I would like to ask Pete Carroll, I can't go in the draft room right now, guys, and ask him, but he's always had that power running game, whether it was in Seattle with Marshawn Lynch or even at USC when I was covering him there. I'm wondering if Ashton Jeanty kind of reminds him a little bit of a combo of Reggie Bush and Lendell White, because when I worked at the LA Times, they were the thunder and lightning combo back for him that won those national championships and came in a whiskers chance close of winning against Texas too. So there's a lot of things there that there's actually a track record that we can lean on when we look at what Pete Carroll likes, and that goes beyond his social media and his Twitter feed too.
A thunder and lightning reference. I did not expect that, and I should have expected it. He goes back to Tarkanian and UNLV, too. He knows all the references. Yep. So, Paul, before you jump out again and get more information, this is usually right around now, 10 minutes plus out where it gets hot on the phones, and I'm assuming the Raiders are receiving phone calls. I don't know if they're sending them out here, but do you sense that those first 2 or 3 picks are going to be a lock? Cam, then we're going to see Travis Hunter. I think Abdul Carter to the Giants or not is where the draft starts. And then Shedeur Sanders. I want to put this on record. This kid has been getting rolled by the media all of a sudden for no reason. And I don't know if there's smoke, there's fire or not. I think he's a really good kid, but a week and a half ago, the Giants at 3, Shedeur was an option. Now I'm hearing him, Paul, maybe falling all the way to 21, and the Steelers possibly. That's a big storyline as this TV show begins at the top of the hour.
Yeah, it's the dominant storyline of the entire draft, really. And there's the the cynic in me, the conspiracy theorist in me. I wonder if all those anonymous quotes are coming out so that he will fall to somebody that really wants him. And again, something that we haven't really talked about a lot is the relationship between Shedeur Sanders and Tom Brady. I mean, he's been coaching him since he was in high school, before high school. So, again, that's something to keep an eye on as well. I'm not making any predictions here of him at number 6 to the Raiders, but it's always something that you have to keep in the back of your mind. And if Pete Carroll wants to tweet out some relationship there, I'm all for it and I'm here for it. But yeah, it's real going to be fun once this thing gets going, and we'll see exactly where they go.
We have another Pete Carroll clue. Well, this is hell carrying the broadcast, man, lately. All right. Teddy Pendergrass cooler than Freddie Jackson sipping a milkshake in a snowstorm.
What?
What is going
Teddy
on?
Pendergrass, Freddie Jackson, both R&B guys, right? They're both R&B guys. Teddy Pendergrass, one of the greatest R&B guys ever. Freddie Jackson, so smooth. A little later, sipping milkshakes in a snowstorm.
It's an Outkast song, so fresh and so clean. I mean, that's the part of it there. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old. I remember the song, and again, that goes to the early 2000s when he was rolling things at USC. So I don't know. Maybe they're looking at a USC player, maybe somebody with connections there. But yeah, so fresh and so clean. Just one of those song titles that's there.
We need to get some backgrounds of some of these draft picks, and maybe they have some.
Yeah, well, Pete would know that from the 30 visits.
Exactly.
He would know all this.
Yeah.
And Paul, listen, I wanted to, you do such a great job with the fans and the fans behind us.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers last year, we were there at 13, and Rich Gannon tipped it to me. He thought when he got past 10, you can't pass on Brock Bowers. He should have been gone from 5 to 7. He drops to 10, and then Gannon looks at me and Lincoln and goes, he's us. If he's still there, you got to take him. And they did, and he had a banner year. I just wonder what's going to happen now. There's a lot of other teams that there's Tyler Warren, the great tight end, who's getting compared to Brock. There's certain players here. We talked about the corner, Will Johnson, who if you need a corner early, you might have to move up and get him here. But I think Sean Payton is looming. He doesn't have a lot of draft equity to go up there because of Russell Wilson and what happened there. And then as you're covering the AFC West, are you thinking anything out loud about Kansas City or what Jim Harbaugh is going to do in Los Angeles tonight with the Chargers?
If you're the Raiders, you can't think about what anybody else is going to do in the division. You have to just handle your own business. And then when you look at last year as a perfect example, I was in the media room covering the team for ESPN, and I was one of the media members that threw their hands up. Why are they drafting a tight end? They already have Michael Mayer. They took him in the second round a year ago. Well, the egg is on our faces then because now you've got a first-team All-Pro generational talent at the position as well. Something that just came to my attention as well is that the NFL Network is reporting that the Browns may be open to trade out of that number 2 spot. And if somebody moves into there, what does that mean? Is it Travis Henry? You would think it would have to be. So again, now that we're getting close to Roger Goodell walking out on the stage and getting booed, it's time for the cheers, the fans to start cheering, especially the Raider fans to see exactly what they're going to do at number 6. This is fun. This is for me on a personal level, doing this from this perspective is awesome, and to be able to be here in the building and be with you guys, a Hall of Famer and Eric Allen, this is a blast. This is a dream come true for me. So I hope that the fans are going to have fun with this as well, and then with all the mock drafts that are happening, I mean, it gets real here very, very soon.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. We can't wait for your news. Everybody follow Paul Gutierrez.
Yes.
He's in the building with us with all the platforms. Thanks for doing it. We'll see you tomorrow, Paul.
See you guys.
All right. He's got good information.
Yes, he does.
And he gave us the clue. He's there and he heard a roar.
Okay.
From the war room. He heard the roar from the war room, so maybe something went down that we'll find out and it'll make sense to us.
Yeah. These clues, though, are just kind of out of nowhere. Pete has a history of communication and relationships with all these guys, so you never know what's going on there.
He's having fun.
He is.
Pete Carroll's going to have a really good time. His life has proven that. So before we wrap it up, and we got a lot of people we're going to be thanking here, especially everyone at Silver and Black Productions, the entire team, everybody here, the crew out there. There's a lot of security here. There's a lot of people rolling into the Palms. The entire property here, Yamava. Thanks to everyone who does this. EA, I've been genty the whole time.
Yep.
I've been genty the whole time for months now, but I think that could change. I really believe that Jacksonville or the Bears might want him more. So I hope we're out there talking about the pick on the stage here, but if not, I'm confident that John Spytek and Pete Carroll will make the right decision.
I think so too. And if it's not Genty, one of those guys from Ohio State, either the defensive tackle or the cornerback, I would love, because it would make a strength even stronger. And then really, if it's a cornerback, fill up that cornerback room, because we've lost some production there.
Well, there's a party out here, my friend.
Yes, it is.
And you got a party coming up in August in Canton, Ohio.
Man.
So maybe you'll give us some clues at your party after you kind of take around here, check in with your wife, and say, hey, they're serving this over there. They got this hors d'oeuvre going on there.
Right. I tell you what, JT, and for most of the invites that have gone out this week, so you guys should be receiving them. But the Raiders have been awesome with helping me kind of plan all this stuff. So shout out to the Raiders organization for helping a brother out.
Absolutely. For everyone at Silver and Black Productions, thanks so much. I don't take this for granted. Every opportunity we get a chance to sit here in front of this great team and talk about the team and hope that it's a good night. You're not going to know about the draft pick for 2 or 3 years, but I think the energy is right. I think it's the right regime at the right time, but they got to nail it. And as I said, they got to have a big week and a big day tomorrow for us.
Right, for sure, man. Got to get it going.
No doubt about it. Tomorrow we'll be on. We'll tell you all about it. Keep it here to all Raider platforms and especially Raiders.com, because we got a big show tomorrow on all these platforms for the 2nd and 3rd round. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We had a blast, and we might even have more fun right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Have a great evening.